Our next speaker is James Hunt. He's an attorney, but he has a holistic approach to his practice of law, including family law, criminal defense, and other law-related matters. He's also a member of the International Alliance of Holistic Lawyers. He's going to be talking to us today about law as a healing profession. Please help me welcome James Hunt.
It does sound comical. For anybody who's ever been involved in the legal profession, and I mean as a consumer rather than a practitioner, the concept of holistic law seems far removed from what we're doing here at the Wellness Expo. The concept of applying any kind of holistic principles to the practice of law doesn't seem realistic in our society. It's like it's not really what's happening, and what kind of lawyer is this guy that he would dare call himself holistic? I'll tell a little bit about myself. I've been practicing law for about 10 years, so I'm certainly a novice compared to a lot of the people who are out there. I graduated law school at 50, and it was what I wanted to do with my time that I had remaining. I was intrigued by the practice of law. I always felt that there was some good that could be done in the practice of law. I had a good business at the time, was doing insurance work, and had an agency that I'd had for many years, and it had provided well for my family. It had helped put my children through school, and I had done everything I wanted to do in that realm. And now I thought, what do I want to do with the rest of my time? Now that I've, done the family thing, and I'd always wanted to go to law school as a kid, and circumstances came about after I graduated where it just wasn't practical. In fact, my wife was pregnant with our fourth child when I got my bachelor's degree, so I wasn't really thinking about moving beyond with my career. I just wanted to sit back and try and make some money and do the best I could with life. And so that preoccupied me for many years. Up until I decided it was time to go after what I've been dreaming about all my life. At 46, I went to Texas Wesleyan School of Law. They're over in Fort Worth. Went to night school, graduated at 50, and started practicing law. And I thought, what did I do? What was I thinking? And started getting into the mix down there at the courthouse. And a couple years later, I got a flyer a friend of mine had gave me about a conference that was being sponsored by the International Alliance of Holistic Lawyers. And I thought, that's where I belong. I just looked at the flyer and I thought, that's where I belong. There's so many little subgroups in the law. There's the Christian Legal Society and the Buddhist, and everybody has their little niche of what they want to do. There's a Hispanic Law Society and the African American Legal Group, and I never quite thought I'm going to join up with that group. But when I heard about the holistic group, I thought that there was no doubt in my mind. I was a member. I think it has more to do with our nature. It has more to do with our concept of life and how we view ourselves in life, more than how we practice law. It has nothing to do with are we going to say something differently when we're in front of the judge, or are we going to handle ourselves in a different manner when we go to court? It's really all about who we are and what our place in the problem is. Because when everybody comes with a problem for a lawyer to solve, it's usually just a small fraction of the problem itself. I know that. Maybe the people who are coming to me also are aware of that. And yet they don't know what to do. All of a sudden they've been sued. All of a sudden the wife wants a divorce. Maybe they got a DWI. There's just something going on, and they need legal help. But that's just like putting the Band-Aid on. That's like giving the remedy for the headache without wondering what brought it about to begin with. And as a holistic practitioner in the practice of law, I like to think I can do more. Otherwise, why would I do it? Why would I do it if I'm not going to do any good? There's no point in it. But I like to think that as an attorney, that my idealism was not just wasted. It wasn't just something that, okay, I can put that aside now, it's time to go to work. It has to be with me every day. Otherwise, I don't particularly want to practice law. I can go back to the insurance business and just generate money doing that. But there has to be more in life. There has to be more in my life other than generating fees. Because if that's the point in it, I'm not going to want to talk about anything here today. I'll have nothing to say. I'll just be promoting my law practice or something. And I have no interest in that. I have enough business. I do okay. I really am interested in talking about the International Alliance of Holistic Attorneys, holistic lawyers. And we're fortunate today that Ruth Rickard is with us. She's sitting here in the front row. She's on the board of the Alliance. She emailed me a week or so ago, and she says, "Hey, what's this I see on the Wellness Expo?" And I said, "Yeah, I actually, maybe 4 years ago or so, I was here and I gave a little talk, and I was well received. And so when they asked me if I would talk again, I was looking forward to it. I said, sure, I'd be glad to." The people involved in the holistic lawyer group were just very few in number, probably. And a lot of people come in and check us out and stay for a year or two and move on. And they've seen it, and it doesn't really apply to them, or we weren't maybe offering what they were looking for. And that may be true for every organization that steps out in the world, every church, every civic group. People go for a while, look around, maybe get involved for a little bit, and move on. And that's true also for our group. But the people who are there, the people who are participating, the people who are being a part of all this, are the kind of people I enjoy being around. The people in this Wellness Expo are the kind of people I enjoy being around. And so many of the people who are there, I realized when I was looking at the list of speakers who are going to be this two-day event, most of them I've done business with in the past in one way or another. I know them on a personal basis. The Ananda Center, I've gone to many of their meditation retreats. There's people in there, I've been involved with drumming. I like to go out and drum, and there's people there who have drumming circles, and I participate in that. And there's some people in there who are doing massage therapy and Reiki and all that, and I've known them on a personal basis for a long time. So it's not a matter of being separate from the holistic community, it's doing my part in the holistic community. I practice law. Does that mean I'm going to distance myself from other people who think along the same lines I do? Of course not. You know, we're going to be a part of the holistic community. We're going to talk about what we do and what our ideas are and our visions for the future. I think what the holistic community, the holistic legal community wants to do, it's my understanding. Of course, I don't speak for the group. I speak for myself. But my understanding of the group and my desire to be a part of it go hand in hand. And what they saw was a profession of lawyers that had lost their way. They had just simply lost their way. They started out as healers, that when people had a problem they couldn't solve, there was generally anger, pain, somebody was hurt. They wanted resolution to the problem. They wanted resolution to the conflict. And so they sought out someone who could bring about, quote unquote, justice, which may in their mind be healing for them, that they could say, okay, I've been restored, I've been healed, whatever was hurting before is no longer hurting. And we played a part in that community just as any other healing practice would have a part to play, whether it be in the field of medicine or in the field of psychiatry or in the field of therapy, that everybody is playing his part in bringing about some healing to a pain or a conflict that at one time wasn't there. They're being restored back to their natural place. And the law started out that way, and people trusted the lawyer. They knew that there was a man in their community that could bring about this healing, that some injustice had been done, and they could seek healing through this practitioner. It was a nice way to start out. Somewhere we lost our way, and we made no apologies for it. Nobody in the legal community makes an apology for that. We have a mess today. We have a mess today, and nobody really has an idea of where to begin to solve the mess. There's all kinds of stuff going on out there to bring about a change, collaborative law, therapeutic justice. There's all kinds of groups and lawyers trying to bring about some change in what has become just a nightmare. If you get sued out there today, you're getting thrown into a pot, and it's just a nightmare, and you're doing good to come out alive, it seems like. But we're looking at this mess and saying, this is not what we wanted. This is not how we envisioned the law to be. And so we're involved in collaborative law, which is basically, let's sit down and talk this over. Let's just try and work this out. Let's not throw some facts in front of a judge and just take whatever he decides. Let's sit down with everybody involved with this problem and sit down with whoever can help bring about a healing solution, whether it be a therapist, whether it be a doctor, whether it be someone who could do a mediation, whatever it is. So we're not isolated. We never really have been. We've always looked out of ourselves to others who can bring about a healing with the problem. They may not be calling themselves holistic lawyers. They may call themselves therapeutic judges, or they may call themselves collaborative attorneys. We kind of just look at it all as the part of the holistic process that's going on now in the legal profession. There's a lot of resistance to it. That's not law. You're crossing the lines. That's up to other people. That kind of nonsense. I disregard it. I disregard it all. I look at the problem. Why would I talk to a man who's on his third DWI and not talk to him about his drinking problem? Why would I talk to a man who's on his third divorce and not talk to him about, is there something inside that's preventing you from having a real relationship with another human being? What is it that brings about the same problem over and over and over? I mean, why can't we stop? What is it that's, nobody wants to call their lawyer. Nobody. Nobody. Nobody wants to lawyer over for dinner. It's just, those guys are somewhere else and they're doing something, and now all of a sudden you have to call them. You have to call them. You have to call them, and you don't want to, and you're asking around, and, does anybody know of anybody? And everybody just kind of shrugs their shoulders. I don't know. I don't know. I hate to say it, if I can't solve someone's legal problem, and there's many issues that come that I can't address, I don't know who to call. I wish I could say, I know the person. I know the person, but I don't. And so when the novice is out there and they're faced with a legal problem, it really is a tough choice, and the kind of choice that can have positive or negative consequences. And it really is a matter of knowing, what kind of person am I going to be calling? What kind of person am I going to be dealing with? Does this person think like I do? Is this person part of my community? Or is this just some guy sitting on the 13th floor at the bank and, doesn't know what's going on, and occasionally he gets out to go to court, and, and then he goes home, and that's his life. So the holistic approach is more than just, what am I going to say when I go in front of the judge? I'm going to say the same thing they all say, whatever it is. I mean, we're attorneys. We're skilled in the practice of law. We know what we're doing. We know how to do it. It's just a matter of how we live our life. That's really the whole thing. In my mind, it's not what we do, it's how we do it. We're not avoiding conflict. I still throw myself in the fire. And I know that for me, even, throwing myself in the fire, jumping into the conflict, brings healing. I don't know how it comes about, but I don't run from it and try and make it go away. That doesn't solve any problem. But to go into the meat of it, to go in and see what it is that we're dealing with, and why do we have this problem today, and why is it a recurring problem, to try and solve that, going beyond what they came to see me for. And they may not even want to go there. They may not even want to go there. In fact, frequently people say, thanks, I'll give you a call. And that's okay. The holistic practice of law, like the holistic practice of medicine, it's not for everybody. I mean, there's a lot of people who like the traditional way. They're comfortable with it. They maybe don't like the outcomes many times, but they don't trust the new. They don't trust the idea that maybe there's something else out there that we can try, that we can look at. So we try. Ruth tries. I try. There's hundreds, maybe thousands of members who try, who really are sincere about what they set out to do in life, and they haven't lost that. They haven't lost that. They still want that. They still want to think that what they're doing can make a difference in someone's life, whether it's in their family situation or... I had a guy once call me. He said he had an SEC problem, the Securities and Exchange Commission. I said, you got the wrong guy. He says, no, he says, your name was given to me, and he says, just hear me out, let me come see you. He says, I know the law. He says, I can bring the law to you. I just need somebody to bring it forward, and somebody gave me your name. So I said, come on in. And he came in, and we talked, and he had owned some shares in a company that was taken over by another company, and the other company hadn't filed some stuff with the SEC. This is all Greek to me. And he wanted to force the other company to do their filings and blah, 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 blah. And I looked at the papers he was giving me, and he even brought the law that after 1 year, you know, they have to make an offering and that kind of thing. And his last name was unusual. And I looked at the directors on the corporate stuff, and one of them had a similar last name, the exact last name. I says, it's unusual, you have this name that's unusual, and this guy, he said, well, that's my brother. I said, why don't you call him? Why don't you call him and say, hey, you need to do your filing? He said, well, you don't understand. Our mother died years ago, and there was a big battle over, you know, the will was vague, and now his wife is wearing some jewelry that my daughter should be wearing, and we haven't talked in years. I said, I'll tell you what, let me write this guy a letter. I said, do you want to ever talk to your brother again? He said, oh, yeah, but it's not going to happen. I said, let me take care of that. Let me write this guy a letter, and if it doesn't work, you can do it your way. So I thought about it for days. I'd start letters and change them and rewrite them and tear them up, and finally I got something. I thought, I'd like to get this letter. So I sent it, and I sent it to the brother. Basically, it was the fact that I'd spoken to his brother, who he hadn't talked to in years, about a SEC problem, and I know we can solve it, and he wants to talk to you, and would you be willing to talk to him? I got a phone call in a couple of days. He says, normally I get a letter like this, it goes straight to our legal department. He says, I wanted to talk to you. He said, when can we meet? You know, the problem was solved. The problem was solved. The SEC filing was done, the brothers were talking again, and it went beyond the problem. Now this, to me, is holistic law. I felt I had done some good, not dragging somebody in front of a judge and fines and beating them over the head and more anger, but say, okay, I see what the problem is. There's a legal issue involved, but that's really not the problem. The problem goes deeper than that. And in my mind, I did some good. I don't always. It would be nice if we could always do good. You know, many times the problem is resolved and people are just not happy. And that's true no matter what the problem is. What they thought they would get from the practitioner is not what they actually received. And, you know, and they're upset, and that happens. And you're never going to solve that no matter what you're doing. I don't care who you are or what you're doing for a living. You know, there's going to be people who will come to you for one reason. Maybe you're serving food, and they think, this is not what I thought it would be. And, you know, they leave, and they're not happy. And it's just the way life is. You're not going to please everybody. But I'd like to think that the guy who's preparing my food really wants to do that. I'd like to think that he's thinking, I want to make this the best whatever it is, you know, that I can. That, you know, there's somebody who's going to be eating this, I want him to enjoy it. So I like that guy. Maybe I didn't like the sandwich. Maybe it wasn't like it turned out like I thought it would. But I like that guy who cooked it. I like his idealism. I like his motives. I like the fact that he's doing more than just trying to, you know, get through the day, get through his 8 hours and make his whatever it is that he needs to make and go home. I like to be around those kind of people who are trying to do something with their life, who are trying to, you know, sell solar panels. You know, if that can bring about a higher good, I like being around those kind of people. I like being around anybody who's trying to do more than just satisfy their own selfish aims. That there is more to life than just getting through the day. There is more to life than just, you know, trying to keep from exploding over a situation. That we can turn it around and try and contribute. And it's in the contributions that we get the satisfaction. My mind. Maybe Pollyanna crap. Maybe it's all BS. But I like to think today that it's the truth. I'm 60 years old. You know, how much longer am I going to throw myself into the fire? I don't know. Every time I start to jump in the pot, I think, how long am I going to do this? Before I think I've had enough. But I throw myself in. I get involved. I mix it up. I lose sleep. I get angry. I do all those things. And because of that, I strive even harder to develop spiritually, to grow in my understanding of God as I understand God. I try to take care of myself physically. I do the yoga, I do the meditation, I do these things on a daily practice because I need to, because I try to live holistically. And anybody who says they're practicing law or practicing anything holistically and is not living holistically is not living their truth. So I have to take care of myself spiritually and emotionally and physically in a holistic manner. I can't ignore anything, because if I do, I'll get sick. I'll get sick. Just as the people who are coming to me with their problem, there's something beyond that. And if I ignore it, the sickness continues. I know that. I have to educate them to that. And hopefully, if I'm going to do any good, I will get them on a track that leads to a long-term healing. I'll say something about me personally. It was probably 26, 27 years ago, I got my third DWI. I ran into a guy who was today a member of the International Alliance of Holistic Lawyers. At that time, the group didn't exist. He inspired me. He looked beyond my legal problem. And in fact, he said at my first meeting, he says, "Jim, I can help you with these legal problems, but I can help you with your drinking problem too." I needed help. I needed help. So when I got to the point in my life of what I wanted to do with my life, I knew I wanted to do more than the norm, more than what was required of me, that I wanted to take that leap of faith and hope I wouldn't scare anybody off in doing so, and saying, I can help you with this problem, but I can go beyond that too. We can look at this other situation. We can deal with this addiction. We can deal with the family crisis. We can deal with your anger. We can deal with these situations if you're willing to step out there. It's scary. It's scary for all of us when we're facing those kind of situations to take a step out there. We're tempted to say, no, just fix the problem. Just put a Band-Aid over it and let me leave. And that's what I'm paying you for, and I don't want to look beyond that. But thank God, I have benefited from lawyers who are willing to look beyond that. And so, my aspiration is to become one of them. Is that holistic law? What is it? I don't know. I was sitting here earlier telling Ruth, I said, I feel like I'm at my wedding. And there's the wife's side, and there's the husband's side, and, everybody's on the wife's side. But that's the extent of my talk. And I thought I'd throw something out there for all who might be interested as a little token gift for anybody who might be interested in it. And that for those who are here, I will do their will for $20. Hey, that's a fraction of what it costs. So if you were, just call me up and say, what do you charge for a will? It would be a totally different number. But if anybody needs a will, you could say, hey, I got some benefit out of the talk today. We got my will done for $20. Just give me a call. My name is James Hunt, H-U-N-T, and I have an office in Richardson. And just say, hey, I was there at the Holistic Wellness Expo. I heard you talk. I didn't believe a word you said, but I'm going to take a shot. Here's my $20, and I'll do it. Don't bring your family and friends. This is just for those who are here. Any questions? Yes.
I can understand you having a really different attitude because of coming into law so late in life, where most people enter in their 20s, and so they're in they're in the system for all those years. But even amongst the people that you've met, in general, do most of the lawyers realize how screwed up the system is?
Most of the lawyers I know who are in the system are very unhappy. Then they go from law firm to law firm or from this to that, looking for something other than what they found. Most people who go into law school, I think, most of them, I'd say, would go in with very high ideals. Something happens. Something happens. They get out and they can't make it on their own. They have a huge debt to repay. They get thrown into the pot and they're saying sink or swim. And most of them either become this person they don't want to become, or they have to bail out and give up their dream. So it's not something that everybody's happy with. I couldn't fit in. I couldn't fit in the typical law firm mold, and most of them don't. I know we just have a couple of minutes left. As Dr. Royal will be speaking here next, and hopefully her talk will be much more practical than the one I just gave. Ruth.
Yeah, Jim, could I offer, I'm Ruth, the person you referred to on the board of the Holistic Lawyers. I'm also the editor of their newsletter, and it's an email thing. If y'all want on a mailing list, just stop by and just sign this up, and, I mean, I'd be happy to have. And the organization doesn't just have lawyers in it, it's other therapeutic, you know, like allied professionals, so to speak, who get involved also. So anyway, just, I'll leave that with you, that would be for free, and, I just read this book last night, and I'm just compelled to tell you, if you know someone who's getting involved in a divorce, or you yourself, this woman is a local attorney, and she does collaborative law divorces, and I personally am working in trying to get the collaborative process, which is more of a healing process, a deeper resolution of the issues. It looks to you to change, that you contributed problems,
All right.
an opportunity for growth.
I'm being flagged. We're going to have to never ask a lawyer to say a few words, you know, just, with one hand coming up before I close. I'll be glad to give you one. Yeah, I'll be glad to give you one. And thank you all for your very attentive listening. I was very impressed. Thank you.